I've realized that over the last 25 years, my orgasms have helped to heal my trauma, which was not something I expected in the slightest. And I want to share with you what I've learned from those experiences, the 3 ways that my orgasms have helped to heal my trauma, and some important caveats about what I experienced and why it was even possible. We tend to think that healing has to come from known, understood things like working with a therapist or alternative therapies or modalities or things like journaling or meditation, which it absolutely can, guaranteed. But my experience shows that healing can come from things outside of what we expect or understand. It can come from completely surprising places. I'm Nicola, and I've spent decades working to heal my trauma and release my past so I can create a brighter, happier future for myself and for my family. What I'm sharing here is my personal experience. And the reason I'm sharing this experience with you is because I want you to understand that healing can happen in a huge variety of ways. It may not require your active involvement, and it might not look like anything like you expect. And once you've heard my story, maybe you'll be open to the idea that healing and growth can happen in new and possibly more enjoyable ways. So the first way that my orgasms have helped to heal my trauma is tied to something called TRE. TRE stands for trauma releasing exercises, or in the watered down version, tension releasing exercises. But TRE is designed to help us release stuff that is stuck in our bodies. I don't know if you've ever seen animals of prey like giraffes or gazelles. After they are attacked by something like a lion and they escape that attack with their lives, they will often go through a process of shaking. They'll stand there, their muscles will shake, they'll go through that for a period of time, then they'll sort of clear their head and then wander off and go back to what they were doing. And this is a response that allows them to process what just happened to them, to take that stress, to let go of it out of their bodies and then get on with their day as if it never happened. But unfortunately for humans, what seems to happen is that we get this stuff stuck in our systems. We, for whatever reason, at the moment this trauma happens, we are unable to process it. We don't have the skills to process it. And so instead we store it in our bodies. So the idea with TRE is to naturally induce this experience of shaking in order to shift this stuff out of our bodies. And what normally happens with TRE is that you'll do certain exercises to fatigue specific muscles, and then you'll position those muscles to allow the shaking to naturally unfold. But what I've noticed is that after a particularly intense experience, my muscles start to shake spontaneously. Usually it will start in the legs will start shaking, and then sometimes it will move into the lower torso. This has probably happened to me somewhere between 3 to 10 times. I don't know exactly how many, but it just happens spontaneously that I start to do this shaking. And as much as possible, I don't force it and I don't try and stop it. I just let it happen. And that as that shaking unfolds, my body moves in whatever way it needs to. And then once it's done, it stops. And afterwards, I feel a sense of calm and relief, like I've shifted something really big. The second way that my orgasms have helped to heal my trauma started happening just a few days after I threw my parents out of my house 25 years ago for violating my boundaries once too often. And I don't think that's a coincidence. But what seems to happen, again, after a particularly intense experience, is that I have a deep emotional release. And by that, I mean I start to cry. A deep sadness wells up in me and I just sob like my heart is breaking, like the worst thing in the world just happened to me, which is not exactly the response a partner is looking for after such an intimate act. But I'm very blessed that my partner was able to take this on board. It may through him the first couple of times, but he quickly realized this wasn't about him. This was about me shifting, releasing, healing, and he was able to provide the space for me to do that, process those feelings. But what seems to happen is that there is a deep grief inside of me that just comes up, that just comes to the surface, and I just have to cry. I just have to sob my heart out. And it's in the moment not particularly pleasant because those feelings are so sad and so intense. But once I allow them to flow through me and once the sobs subside, I feel so much better. There's a sense of peace, and it's a huge cleansing. It feels like a huge healing and a huge cleansing has happened, and I feel so much better as a result. And I've noticed that it's not happening as often these days. It really hasn't happened much for the last few years, and I take that as a sign that all the work that I've been doing to heal is actually making a difference, and there's just not that much left in me to release. And that's fantastic. That's huge for my healing journey. The third way that my orgasms have helped me to heal my trauma is something I've noticed more recently. It's probably been there the whole time, but I've only just started to notice it more recently. And that is that amongst all the noise of the sensations and emotions swirling around after such an experience, there is in the middle of that a deep, clear connection to myself. It's a pure, strong signal to who I really am. And it's as though that experience of the orgasm takes away the layers that have been put over it. So most of the time in my everyday life, I have layers of conditioning, of protection, of debris over the top of this connection to who I really am. But in those moments, that's all taken away, and I have easy, clear access to who I really am. And that gives me two things. Firstly, it shows me that there is a version of me that doesn't have trauma, that doesn't need fixing, that doesn't need healing, that is perfectly okay exactly as I am. It feels like my feet are firmly planted on the ground. I know who I am, and there is nothing to be done. And that gives me a sense that there is this version of me where I have this connection on an ongoing basis, and that I will get there, even if I don't have access all the time, that one day I will get to that point where I have that ongoing strong connection to that pure sense of self. And the second thing it gives me is a reference experience. It shows me what it feels like to be connected to my true self, to be wholly in touch with who I really am. And by having that reference experience, it allows me in the rest of my days, when I don't have that clear access, to know what it is that I'm looking for as I do the practice to try and reconnect to myself, to stay aligned with who I really am. Even if all I can manage is a pale imitation of that, I have something to work towards. And having that connection to me in those moments, and as I practice outside of those times, helps me to understand the bigger picture, the part of me, the version of me that doesn't have trauma, that doesn't have all these things. And it makes it easier to let go of these things because I can see what it is to be completely whole. So I want to raise some important caveats with these experiences that I've had. Firstly, I am absolutely blessed with a partner who is able to make me feel 100% safe. There is no way that I could have had these releases, this depth of healing in these moments without that sense of safety. And I truly believe that this healing could not have happened without him. And so that sense of safety is absolutely essential to my ability to have these experiences, to be able to let go and feel completely safe doing that. Secondly, I've spent so much time over the decades exploring so many different healing modalities and energy work and working with healers and therapists. I've had so many diverse experiences as a result of that exploration that when these things happened, they weren't strange or foreign to me. They weren't weird. They weren't scary. They were things that I recognized and was comfortable enough with to allow them to happen. If I hadn't felt comfortable, I would have shut them down. I would have stopped them from happening. And so that familiarity with the different ways that energy can move allowed me to let these experiences unfold as they needed to so that healing could happen. And if you want to learn more about some of my favorite techniques that I have explored over the years, I've got a guide that you can download and go through those and understand the many different ways that healing and energy can move when you are doing this work. The third piece is that I am very blessed and very grateful that none of these experiences re-traumatized me. I know that mixed in my traumas, there is sexual trauma. I don't have any memory of that, but I know from some of the reactions I've had in these moments, that's definitely mixed in there somewhere. So I'm very blessed that because I felt safe, because I was familiar with these techniques and I wasn't scared of what was happening, that I was able to just embrace those moments, and not feel like it was a reason to become more traumatized by what was happening. Instead, it became a safe, healing, positive experience for me. So I hope that by hearing my story, you can see new possibilities for healing, that you can start looking for it in unexpected places. You can keep your eyes open for healing to come to you in whatever form it can to move you forward on your healing journey. And if you'd like to explore another of my favorite safe and gentle ways for releasing and healing trauma, watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next one.